Today's show is all about how to get a seller excited about doing a high profit novation deal with you. Now, I don't care what your experience, if you're brand new or if you are seasoned, you must be doing novations in this market. Number one, if you're going to be keeping up with the times, but number two, if you really want to thrive. So I'm going to make a quick review on what a novation is and why you must be doing them before I get into destroying some of the self-limiting beliefs around them. Now, a novation deal is similar to a wholesale deal. If you know familiar with a wholesale deal, that's where you find a motivated seller who has a property, and you go and you get that property under contract for a below market price, control the property, and then sell that contract, sell the property, piece of paper, to a cash buyer, someone who's either going to fix and flip it or someone who's going to hold it as a rental. That is traditional wholesaling. A novation deal is where we lock up a property under contract with a motivated seller, and then we go and we turn around and we sell that property to a retail buyer, right? That's someone who's going to get a loan. Now, the difference in mechanics between a novation deal and a traditional wholesale deal is actually once we locate that buyer for a novation deal, we actually put the buyer and the seller together, right? And our payment comes from the seller actually buying us out from the original contract, right? The reason why we do it this way is so that your new buyer could come in with financing, get a loan from either FHA, which and then VA, those are government agencies. And the beauty of this is that these buyers, why we want to work with them is number one, the market is changing, right? Cash buyers, they're getting more picky, they're offering lower prices. And so we want to target a new buyer whose sole objective is to enjoy the property, right? And so when you can sell a property to someone who's going to live in it and enjoy it, and profit is not their biggest thing, you are going to get a much higher price, which is going to mean more profit in your pocket. So I know we've been talking about novations a lot lately, and I get a lot of questions and say, why would a seller do this, right? There's three main fears that come across, right? Why would a seller, allow you to lock up their property and then go and, see you market it, see you sell it to them, and then let you make a huge profit, right? And I'm going to tell you that there's some self-limiting beliefs, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you could bust through those and make a lot of money. So those three fears that I see is you're asking yourself, why would a seller do this? Number two, how the heck are you going to market the property and have the seller be okay with that? And the third is, what if the seller finds out how much money you're making? Because if you're doing this deal, you are going to be making money, and a lot of it. And that is my hope for you. So the first thing that you must do when you're doing a novation is for you to get in the correct mindset on why a seller is going to do business with you. Okay. A seller who is going to sign a contract with you, whether you're wholesaling or you're doing a novation, they're going to be motivated. Okay. They're going to be motivated and they don't want to deal with the problem themselves. Okay. That's a very, very, very important distinction. If you're looking at wholesaling 101, you are looking for a motivated seller. And that's the case whether you are dealing with a traditional wholesaling or if you're doing a novation deal. It all starts with that motivated seller. And so if a seller wanted to do business, if a seller wanted to handle this, they could fix up their property. They could list it with a real estate agent. They could handle listing it for the highest price possible and dealing with an agent who doesn't really understand the concept of a fast sale, right? And eventually get their money if that's what they wanted to do. But because they're talking to you, they want easy, right? They want easy. They want it done for them. For example, I recently had my house painted and I paid a significant amount of money to have the inside of my house painted. Guess what? I could go to Home Depot. I could buy paint. I could buy a roller. And pretty simply, I could just move some furniture around, right? Put down a drop cloth and paint my own house. But I don't like the idea of it. I don't like doing it. I don't want the inconvenience of, that disturbing my day. And just the thought of it, right, just gives me stress. So what do? I call up a painter, call him over, and he handles this, right, with white glove service, right? He tapes the house, cleans the house, or excuse me, clears everything. He paints the house, and guess what? In a few short days, that deal is done. And so when you're a real estate investor, I want you to look at the fact that even though sellers could possibly do this themselves, they're not, right? They're not. And that's why they're talking to you. That's so, so, so important. Okay. A seller's not as knowledgeable as you. They're not willing to put in the work like you. They're not motivated like you. And so, because of that, you are offering value. And when you offer value from someone to someone, excuse me, you get paid. And when you're dealing with houses that have larger transaction sizes, right? And that's, obviously you're not selling mattresses here. You can make big bucks. So that's why the seller would do this. Now, you may be asking yourself, Todd, how am I going to market a property, right? Because when you do a novation, I've talked about this, is you lock a property up under contract. And this is the biggest hangup I hear from people, is they will lock a property under contract to sell to a retail buyer, and you now are going to put this property on the multiple listing service. Okay, what is the multiple listing service? That is the service that all real estate agents use to send property out to their buyers. So if you've ever looked on Redfin or Zillow, right, and you pulled up a property, that house was listed on the MLS, right? So you take that property, you turn around and you list that property on the MLS, right? I've talked about how you can do that and using the right agreements, and the seller's going to know about that. Okay, so you're thinking, if you're brand new, possibly, what the heck? What if the seller finds out that I am putting this house out for market? I told them I was going to buy the house, and now I'm listing the property on the multiple listing service. They're going to see it. Their neighbors are going to see it. The realtor that they were going to list with before they called me is going to see it. Oh, why would they ever do this? Well, I tell you, if you do it the right way, I'm going to teach you how to do that right now in this episode. They're going to be excited about doing it. So the second step is the belief that, number one, you're offering value, right? You've got to offer value. Okay, that's very, very important. Number two, the way to anchor a seller, okay, in letting them know that you're going to be marketing is, frankly, just to tell them. So after we sign a contract with a seller, okay, or we're about to, we tell the seller, hey, listen, in exchange, by the way, we talk about this for your flexibility, right? We are going to be marketing the heck out of this property, okay? And there's going to be a lot of activity that you're going to see here. I'm going to send my inspector. I'm going to send some contractors. I'm going to send my buyers. I'm going to pre-market the heck out of this property. Now, I'm going to make it as convenient as heck for you. Okay, I'm going to try to have everything at once, but I'm going to need 3 times to get in. Okay, and I'll set those times. Okay, and we call it the 5-5-5 method, right? 5 days from now, 5 days after that, and 5 days after that, right? Just in case we need multiple buyers from there. I also tell them that we're going to have a professional inspector show up. And so I anchor the seller. I set the expectation, right? I tell them that I'm going to be marketing the heck out of it, right? I tell them they'll see it on the internet, right? Because guess what? I'm moving to make this happen, right? So you've got to reframe this. I'm an investor. I'm here to make a profit. I'm going to make this really easy on you. You're going to see me marketing this. It's going to be all over the place, including the internet, right? This is a promise I'm going to keep on you. So when they see it, okay, which they will, now you've kept a promise and you didn't hide something from them. How powerful is that? Okay, so instead of something that you tried to hide from them, you now turned it into keeping a promise. So now the seller sees you, number one, showing the property, number two, paying for a professional inspector, and now they see buyers coming on the thing and it's on the internet. They see activity and they will love you for it. I'll tell another story, and I've told this one many times, but my wife absolutely hates any kind of construction or handyman over our house. And we built a infinity edge pool at our house, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And it was a really big project. I mean, they had to bring in a ton of bulldozers and carve into our hill. And we've got a lot of people coming and bidding on it. And we got one referral from somebody. And he says, man, this is going to be a great pool. But I tell you what, I'm the best pool builder in San Diego County. I do this fast. I do it the right way. But I tell you what, for 8 weeks, your life's going to be a living hell, he says, right? You're going to see, 8, 10, 15 trucks in your driveway at any one time. Your driveway is going to be destroyed from the giant dump trucks and the dirt that we're putting here, right? Which the cost to repair that, you can either pay me to repair that, or you can find somebody else to repair it. There's going to be dirt everywhere, filthy. You're going to have to park it down the block, and you're not going to have any use of any of your yard for 8 to 10 weeks, right? Now, my wife, as she's hearing this, the blood pressure is going up, right? But then he says, I'm going to be in and out, okay, in 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks, but this is going to get done. And so he anchored my wife. She was, she had a hard time swallowing it for like a second, but then all of a sudden she got really excited and she thought of that end goal that we were going to enjoy that pool. And guess what? The pool builder showed up, and I'm telling you, it was like an army. Okay. Showed up at our house. They completely ruined our driveway. It was packed wall to wall, dirt everywhere. I mean, you couldn't even walk through my front door without like ruining your pants. That's how crazy it was. And my wife did not complain once. And she's like, man, that was the best contractor that we've ever had. And we got a beautiful pool built. And so think about this, that we were actually excited about all the activity happening because we knew that this was going to get done. He kept his promise. He was there. He built a great pool. And by the way, we had a few problems at the end, but guess what? He took care of them. And that was the absolute beauty of that. And so it is very important that when you do a novation, right, that you anchor the seller properly, that you're going to be marking the property. By the way, I'm going to suggest that if you do a traditional wholesale deal too, right, is you want to anchor that seller. Very, 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 very important. Okay. Now, the final thing is some people are scared or worried, and they say, hey, what if the seller finds out how much I'm making, right? They're going to see the house. They're going to see the house marketed. They understand I'm getting a buyer. We're going to close, because at the end, you're going to put the buyer and the seller together, right? You're going to basically put a new contract with the seller and the buyer, and the seller is going to buy you out, and they're going to see the new price. Most likely, there are some ways that you can conceal it, but a lot of times, no. How are they going to be okay with that, right? Well, I can tell you that, number one, let's go back to the pool story. This was a heavy 6-figure investment for my pool, right? My wife and I were fully aware that the person building this pool was going to be making a profit, right? We knew this going in, and we were okay with that. That's the expectation. For anything that you buy or any service, right? Your doctor, he makes a profit, right? I mean, the grocery store makes a profit. So people are expecting that. So let me go back to anchoring it. Is that when you're meeting with a seller, they should be anchored that you're there to make a profit. If you act like you're going to be living in the property or this is a favor to them, right? You're going to be like backtracking the entire way, right? No, we're friendly, we're fair, we're upfront, and we're here to make a profit, right? And if we can make a profit and you feel good about that, then let's do a deal. Now, at the end, I'll tell you how this works, right? Is sometimes when we think we're going to do a wholesale deal and we're going to switch it to a novation and we put a buyer and seller together, I'll come at it like this. I'll say, Mr. Seller, right? My funding is going to be coming from my buyer. Okay. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to have you sign a new contract. It's got a higher price than we discussed. Okay. It's got a higher price than we discussed. I'll say that one more time. It's got a higher price than we discussed. Ooh, right? That's where most people get nervous, but you gotta have that certainty, right? You've got to have that confidence, right? And you got to know that this is okay, right? Now, Mr. Seller, I have some real estate commissions and costs, and also my profit, and that's in there. But to do this the way that we spoke about, right? I'm going to need you to sign a new contract with my new buyer. But you are going to net exactly what I promised you in the original agreement. Okay. And most likely 90 times out of 10 or 9 out of 10, 90% of the time, they are going to be okay and excited about that, because within 30 days, they are going to collect a big, fat, juicy check. Okay. That is so, so, so important. And you are going to get paid for solving a very big problem. And so, if you're worried about a seller, wondering whether they uh, uh, are want to do a novations deal with you, I could tell you the case of the matter is they do, right? As a review, they want convenience. They want this done for them, right? And they are going to trade some of their equity, right, for some convenience. Okay. And they know that. And so that's why they are going to do business with you. Number two, if you do this the right way, they are going to see that you are marketing this to a buyer, and that is okay. But you want to anchor them up front so there's no surprises later, right? Hit them between the eyes with honesty, okay, about what you're going to do. You don't need to um, tell them all the details about how you're going to get paid, right? And how you're going to make 40 grand in a matter of 30 days, but prepare them for what they will see. So when they see it, you are now a person who keeps a promise versus someone who hid something from them. Very important. And the third thing that I would tell you is get over the fact that the seller may see how much money that you're going to make, right? They want their money. So the chances of them kiboshing a transaction or trying to kibosh a transaction when you are at the 90-yard line, right, or very close to getting the deal done, if you don't understand football, right, is very, very low. And they're going to be okay with you making a profit because they want their money. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will talk to you on the next episode.